Hi, I'm Lynae Warren. In this video clip, I'll talk about collaboration and cooperative learning in the mathematics class. I'm specifically thinking of it with regard to problem solving, but you can do collaboration and cooperative learning in a variety of settings. As we know, our students are social beings for the most part. They like to interact with each other. They like to talk about what's important to them and what their ideas are. And intentionally using collaboration and cooperative learning in the classroom not only support the fact that they're social beings, but it also helps students learn more. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how it does that. When we provide opportunities for students to work together on problem solving or projects or labs in science or explorations in other content areas, we're providing them with an opportunity to learn together. And there are real benefits to that. Some of the benefits that I personally have seen as a classroom teacher have to do with how far we can challenge our students in thinking. And the more I can provide challenging opportunities for students, the more they have the potential to learn. So when I have students working in isolation and I think about a problem that I might give them, I tend not to choose a problem that's as challenging, because what happens when students work in isolation is they're more likely to give up quickly. They're more likely to have the belief that they're not going to be able to solve the problem. They're more likely to turn to me and say, well, is this right? Or what should I do first? When I ask them to work in a cooperative learning group or in a collaborative setting, I can challenge them further because their ideas build on the other's ideas, which is very different than having a child work in isolation. Because they're exploring these ideas together, they're willing to think more creatively. They're willing to throw something out. They may say, well, this is a crazy idea, but what do you think about this? And sometimes those ideas are the most fruitful. In isolation, they might not move forward with an idea like that. So these opportunities to work together are very rich grounds for idea generation. When they talk about ideas, even if they're not fully developed ideas, the opportunity to talk about them provides momentum for exploration. If they're thinking about an idea in isolation and it pops into their head and they think, oh, that's crazy, they're probably going to just set it aside. But if they're talking with their peers and they say, well, this may be a crazy idea, sometimes the peer will say, well, let's try it and see. Or the teacher walking by can say, well, try it and see what happens. So the opportunity to talk about ideas and work together provides more fertilization of ideas. The point of challenging them more, I want to come back to that again, because what I've found is when I provide learning opportunities for a group and I provide a more challenging problem, they tend to not be willing to quit as fast. They tend to have a greater belief that they'll succeed in the group, even when they feel like, oh, I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. This group momentum, this, which I've referred to in another video, we're all in this together, that approach causes them to be willing to work harder on problems that they wouldn't work on in isolation. And if I can challenge them further and they push themselves further, then at the end of that day, when they've been doing cooperative learning or collaborative learning, they're going to come away with more learning, which is very powerful. I'm going to take a moment and differentiate between collaboration and cooperative learning. When I think about collaboration, I think about students working together, but not necessarily in as structured an environment as we think about when we use the term cooperative learning. That term I've attributed in another video, and I will attribute here primarily to the work of Johnson & Johnson, where they ask the teacher to provide tasks that require positive interdependence. And positive interdependence basically means that if students work together, the results will be positive because the interdependence is necessary. They have to work together for positive results. And that's a component that I try to consider when I'm selecting tasks for students to work together in cooperative learning groups on. They need to be meaningful tasks. They need to be things that aren't trivial. So if you put two students together and say, fill out this worksheet where you practice algorithms, and we say, see, they're working together. They're really working in a parallel way, but sharing back and forth. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not a cooperative learning activity. It doesn't require that in order for them to be successful, they work together. These meaningful tasks and the notion of positive interdependence are really important if we want to challenge students in a cooperative learning setting. So the worksheet idea, while it's an example of students maybe bouncing ideas off each other or sharing ideas related to algorithmic development, aren't really those opportunities where students come away with rich, deep learning. And the collaboration and the cooperative learning will hopefully provide them with opportunities to do that. The last thing I want to share about this is my own personal reaction to having taught using cooperative learning for 20 years now. I don't give group assessments. At the end of the day, when the activity is completed, when the learning opportunity is completed, each student will be accountable for sharing what they know. I tell them that going in. I tell them that each one must be able to articulate what their understanding is upon completion of the task. Because what I find when I don't provide individual accountability opportunities is that students want to just skate through. Not many, just a few, but to me, I want it to be that at the end of the day, everyone's had the learning opportunity and everyone is held accountable for their learning.